The DNA test proves it. 99.99%. The millionaire who destroyed her is her daughter's father. Then his fiancée texts, "I know about Harper. We need to talk. Everything is about to explode." Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from and subscribe. The pregnancy test sat on the marble bathroom counter like an accusation. 2 pink lines that would detonate Marcus Wellington's perfectly constructed world in less than 5 minutes. Naomi stood frozen in her silk robe, one hand pressed against her stomach, the other clutching the sink so hard her knuckles had gone pale. She'd been feeling off for weeks, dizzy spells during board meetings, exhaustion that no amount of coffee could touch, and that strange metallic taste in her mouth every morning. Part of her had known before she'd even taken the test. The other part had been desperately hoping she was wrong. Marcus was in Los Angeles, closing a deal that would add another $40 million to Wellington Capital's already obscene portfolio. He'd left 3 days ago with a kiss that lasted exactly 4 seconds, the same duration as always, perfectly calibrated to appear affectionate without actually requiring emotion. They'd been together for 2 years, engaged for 6 months, and Naomi had learned to read the careful choreography of his affection. This baby, unplanned and terrifying, was about to disrupt every single step of that dance. She picked up her phone with trembling fingers and called him. He answered on the second ring, his voice carrying that particular edge of impatience he wore like cologne. "Naomi, I'm about to walk into a meeting with the Steinberg Group. Can this wait?" She opened her mouth to say yes, to let him go, to wait until he came home, and they could sit down and discuss this like the adults they supposedly were. But something in her throat closed up, and instead what came out was, "I'm pregnant." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long she thought the call had dropped. Then Marcus laughed, a sharp, brittle sound that made her stomach clench. "That's impossible. We're careful. You're on birth control." She had been for years. The little pill she swallowed every morning at 7 a.m. sharp, except for that week in February when she'd had food poisoning and couldn't keep anything down. And they'd been in the Maldives for his mother's 60th birthday, and she'd been so sick and miserable that she'd forgotten to tell him they needed to use backup protection, and he'd been so distant anyway, barely touching her, spending all his time on his laptop while she'd recovered alone in their villa. "Birth control isn't perfect," she managed, hating how small her voice sounded. "It happened. I don't know how. But it happened." Another pause, longer this time, and when Marcus spoke again his voice had gone cold, that particular temperature of fury that wealthy white men perfected in boarding schools, all control and barely restrained violence. "Who is he?" The question hit her like a slap. "What?" "Don't play stupid, Naomi. It doesn't suit you. Who's the father?" "Because it sure as hell isn't me." Her hand went numb, the phone nearly slipping from her grip. "Marcus, what are you talking about? You're the only person I've been with. You're the only person I've been with in 3 years. She could hear him breathing, sharp, angry breaths that meant he was pacing, probably in whatever luxury hotel suite he'd booked, wearing the Tom Ford suit she'd helped him pick out, the one that made his eyes look more green than gray. "I want you out of the apartment by the time I get back. Pack your things. Keep whatever jewelry I gave you, consider it payment for services rendered. But I want you gone." The room tilted, and Naomi had to sit down on the closed toilet lid before her legs gave out. "Payment for services? Marcus, I love you. We're engaged. We're building a life together." His laugh was uglier this time, all jagged edges and contempt. "We're building a life. Past tense. You really think I'm stupid enough to believe this baby is mine? I know you've been unhappy. I know I work too much. I figured you were looking elsewhere for attention, but I didn't think you'd be careless enough to get caught." Tears were streaming down her face now, hot and fast, blurring her vision. "I never cheated on you. Not once. Not ever. This baby is yours." But he'd already hung up, and she was left staring at her phone screen, at the photo of them from last Christmas, his arm around her waist, both of them smiling at his mother's Hampton estate, looking like the kind of couple that belonged in magazine spreads about successful interracial relationships in corporate America. She didn't pack that night. Instead, she lay on their bed, The California king they'd picked out together at that expensive mattress store where they brought you champagne while you tested firmness levels. And she stared at the ceiling and tried to understand how her life had imploded in a single phone conversation. Marcus didn't come home the next day, or the day after that. His assistant, a blonde woman named Bethany who'd never liked Naomi, called to inform her that Mr. Wellington had extended his Los Angeles trip indefinitely and would appreciate if Ms. Carter could vacate the premises by the end of the week. That's when Naomi realized he was serious. This wasn't anger, wasn't a fight they'd work through. This was Marcus exercising the same ruthless efficiency he brought to failed investments. Cut losses, move on, pretend it never happened. She started packing on Thursday, moving through their apartment like a ghost, taking only what was truly hers. She left the jewelry, even the engagement ring, a 3-carat diamond that had belonged to his grandmother, sitting on the bathroom counter, next to where she'd taken that test. Let him think what he wanted. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of proving she'd been after his money. Her best friend Kennedy helped her move into a studio apartment in a neighborhood Marcus would never set foot in. The place was smaller than their walk-in closet had been, but it was hers, paid for with her own money from her job as a senior analyst at Morrison Financial. She'd met Marcus at a networking event 2 years ago, had been drawn to his confidence, his ambition, the way he talked about building empires like other people talked about weekend plans. She'd thought they wanted the same things: success, partnership, a family eventually. She'd been wrong about everything except the success part, and even that felt hollow now. The nausea got worse. She threw up every morning with such regularity she could set her watch by it. 7:15, right after her alarm, before her shower. She ate crackers at her desk and lied to her co-workers about having a sensitive stomach. No one needed to know she was pregnant and single, and that the father was Marcus Wellington, the man whose face smiled at her from the cover of Forbes magazine in the break room, accompanied by an article about young millionaires disrupting traditional finance. Then Marcus started calling people. Not her, never her, but everyone else. Her colleagues began looking at her strangely, conversations dying when she entered rooms, sympathetic glances mixed with judgment. It took 3 weeks before Kennedy told her what was happening. Marcus had started telling people carefully, strategically, that Naomi had cheated on him, that she'd gotten pregnant by another man and tried to trap him into raising someone else's child. "He's being smart about it," Kennedy said, her dark eyes flashing with anger. "He's not posting anything publicly. He's just telling the right people, people who talk, people who matter in your circles. He's making sure everyone knows before you can tell your side." Naomi felt sick, and not from morning sickness this time. Why would he do this? He broke up with me. He threw me out. Why does he need to destroy my reputation too? Kennedy poured her tea, chamomile, because Naomi couldn't stomach coffee anymore. Because men like Marcus can't just lose, Naomi. They have to win. And winning means making sure everyone knows you're the bad guy, not him. He's protecting his image. The successful young millionaire who was betrayed by his unfaithful girlfriend. It's a better story than the truth. And what was the truth? That Marcus had accused her without proof, had assumed the worst because... what? Because she was black and he was white, and somewhere deep in his privileged psyche he'd always believed she wasn't quite good enough, wasn't quite trustworthy, was probably using him for his money and connections. The thought made her want to scream. She'd loved him. She'd turned down job offers in other cities to stay near him. She'd endured his mother's thinly veiled racism, the way Caroline Wellington always introduced her as Marcus's friend, even after they got engaged. The comments about how urban her natural hair looked. The surprise when Naomi revealed she'd graduated summa cum laude from Columbia. She'd swallowed all of it, because she'd thought Marcus was different. Thought he saw her as an equal. She went to work every day and held her head high, even as the whispers followed her down hallways, even as invitations to after-work drinks dried up, even as she was quietly passed over for the promotion she'd been promised. Her boss, a middle-aged white man who golfed with Marcus's father, called her into his office 6 weeks after Marcus had thrown her out and suggested, very gently, that perhaps she'd be happier at another firm, somewhere that could better accommodate her current situation. "My current situation?" she repeated, her voice diamond hard. "You mean my pregnancy?" "That's illegal, Mr. Henderson. You can't fire me for being pregnant. He smiled, the smile of a man who'd never faced consequences in his life. Of course not. I'm not firing you. I'm simply suggesting that the stress of this job might not be ideal for someone in your condition, especially given the personal difficulties you've been experiencing. We care about you, Naomi. We want what's best. What was best, it turned out, was for her to quietly resign, to take a severance package that was generous enough to seem benevolent, but small enough to make it clear she was being bought off. She signed the papers because she needed the money, because fighting would take energy she didn't have, because her baby needed health care and a roof overhead, and pride couldn't pay for either of those things. Kennedy was livid when she found out. You should sue them. Sue Marcus. Sue everyone. They're destroying your life. But Naomi was tired. Bone tired in a way that went beyond the pregnancy. And the thought of dragging this through courts, of seeing Marcus's expensive lawyers tear apart her character in public, made her want to disappear. I just want to move on, she told Kennedy. I just want to have my baby and build a new life, and forget Marcus Wellington ever existed. Except forgetting was impossible when her belly grew rounder every day, when she felt the baby move for the first time at 18 weeks, a flutter like butterfly wings that made her cry in the middle of the grocery store. This baby was half Marcus, whether he acknowledged it or not. And every kick, every hiccup, every time she saw the ultrasound image, she saw pieces of him. The stubborn set of the chin, the long fingers. Even in grainy black and white, her daughter, because it was a girl, looked like she'd inherited her father's determined expression. She found out the gender at 20 weeks, alone in the ultrasound room because Kennedy was on a business trip and there was no one else to call. The technician smiled and pointed at the screen. It's a girl. See, right there. Congratulations. Naomi stared at the image, at her daughter, at this tiny person who hadn't asked to be conceived by two people who couldn't make it work, who'd be born into a world where her father had already rejected her. I'm going to call you Harper, she whispered to her belly that night, lying in her narrow studio apartment bed. Harper Christine Carter. And I'm going to love you enough for two parents. I promise. She meant it, every word, but some part of her still ached for Marcus to call, to apologize, to ask for proof, to demand a paternity test, anything that meant he cared enough to find out the truth. But he never called. Harper was born on a Tuesday in March, 7 pounds 3 ounces, with a full head of dark curly hair, and Marcus's gray-green eyes. Naomi held her daughter, and felt her heart crack open in a way she hadn't known was possible. Love so fierce and protective it felt like violence. Hi, baby, she whispered, touching Harper's tiny fist. I'm your mom, and I'm going to give you everything. She took a photo, just one, of Harper's face, and she almost sent it to Marcus. Almost. But what would be the point? He'd made his choice. Kennedy visited the hospital with flowers. She's beautiful, Naomi. She looks just like you. But Harper didn't look like her. Not really. She looked like Marcus, like the Wellington family with their sharp features and light eyes. And Naomi wondered if her daughter would grow up looking in the mirror and seeing the father who'd abandoned her, wondering why she wasn't enough to fight for. Life became sleepless nights and daycare and pumping milk in bathroom stalls at work. She ran into Marcus once in a building lobby. He was with a tall blonde woman laughing. He saw Naomi and his face went blank, no recognition, nothing. He looked straight through her and kept walking. Naomi stood frozen, watching him disappear, and felt something inside her finally break clean. She'd spent months hoping he'd come around. But you couldn't force someone to love their own child. Marcus had moved on. Harper turned 1, then 2, then 3. She started asking questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do birds sleep? Why don't I have a daddy? That last question gutted Naomi every time. Some families have 2 parents, she'd explain. Some have 1. Ours is just you and me, baby girl, and that's perfect. But Harper would look at her with those gray-green eyes, Marcus's eyes, and Naomi could see her daughter didn't quite believe her. Kindergarten was hard. All the other kids made Father's Day cards, and Harper came home crying because she didn't have anyone to give hers to. I made it for you instead, Mommy, she said, because you're my mommy and daddy. Naomi hugged her daughter and cried in the shower later. Then Harper turned 6 and started asking different questions. Why doesn't my daddy want to meet me? Is it because I'm bad? And Naomi had to swallow her rage and explain, again, that some people weren't ready to be parents, that it had nothing to do with Harper being bad, that she was perfect and loved. They built a good life anyway. Small apartment but filled with books. Tight budget but always enough for dance classes because Harper loved ballet. Naomi had clawed her way to a senior position at Diane's firm. Kennedy was Harper's godmother. Marcus's face still appeared in business magazines, and Naomi learned to flip past those pages quickly. Harper started first grade and came home excited about a family tree project. Naomi's stomach dropped. They left Marcus's side blank. When Harper asked why, Naomi said, "Some trees have missing branches, that's okay. Trees still grow." By Harper's 7th birthday, she'd learned emotional armor no 7-year-old should need. Then Kennedy called. "You need to see this." The link showed Marcus Wellington's engagement to Madison Porter. The article mentioned he'd never been married, described him as one of New York's most eligible bachelors. No mention of Naomi, no mention of Harper. "He's erasing us," Naomi said. "Let him have his perfect life." But Harper came home needing her birth certificate for a passport. Naomi stared at it that night, at the blank space where a father's name should be. 7 years of protecting Marcus's reputation. She picked up her phone and typed 5 words. "Harper needs a birth certificate." 5 minutes later, "Who is Harper?" "Your daughter, the one you decided wasn't yours without proof. We should talk in person tomorrow." They met at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. When Marcus walked in, Naomi's breath caught. He looked the same but harder. "You don't understand why your daughter needs documentation? I don't have a daughter. You made an accusation you never verified. Destroyed my career. Birth control fails, but you decided I was a liar without proof. You're telling me now she's mine? I'm giving you a choice. Paternity test now? Or sign away rights forever. Otherwise I'll take you to court, and Madison will find out. You're threatening me. I'm protecting my daughter. She's 7 and asks why her daddy doesn't want her. She looks exactly like you, Marcus. I want to see her before any test." "No. Test first. If positive, then we talk. You can't keep me from her. Watch me. You gave up rights when you threw me out. I'll take the test today. If she's mine, I want to make this right." "You can't make this right. Can't give back 7 years." They went to the lab. Results in 48 hours. In the parking lot, Marcus said, "The things I said, I didn't know what else to do. You had choices, chose to believe the worst without proof." She drove away, cried 3 blocks later. 2 days later, the email. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Marcus Wellington was Harper's father. Her phone rang, his voice raw. "I got the results." "So did I. I was so sure and I was wrong. I need to meet her, please. She doesn't know about you. If you're doing this, you're in all the way." "I'm in, whatever it takes. I'll think about it." But his engagement to Madison was all over social media. When truth came out, the storm would sweep them all up. That night she looked at his photos with Madison, the perfect couple. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. "I know about Harper. We need to talk. Signed M, not Marcus. Madison." Naomi stared at the text message until the words blurred. Madison Porter knew about Harper. Somehow, Marcus's perfect blonde fiancée had found out about the daughter he'd denied for 7 years. And now she wanted to talk. Naomi's first instinct was to delete the message, block the number, pretend it never happened. But something stopped her. Some twisted curiosity about what Madison Porter could possibly have to say about a situation that should have nothing to do with her. She texted back, keeping it simple. "How did you find out?" The response came almost immediately. "Marcus told me. 2 hours ago. I haven't stopped crying since. Can we please meet? Tomorrow morning? I need to understand what happened. And I think you might need to know some things too." Naomi's hands were shaking as she typed. "Why would I trust anything you have to say? You're marrying the man who destroyed my life." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. That's exactly why you should listen to me. Because I just found out the man I'm supposed to marry in 6 months has a 7-year-old daughter he abandoned. And when I asked him why, when I asked him to explain how he could do something so horrible, his answer made me realize I don't know him at all. Please, just coffee. 1 hour. Then you never have to see me again. Naomi looked at Harper's bedroom door, thought about her daughter sleeping peacefully, unaware that her entire world was about to shift. She thought about Marcus, about the paternity test results, about 7 years of carrying this weight alone. And she thought about Madison Porter, whose perfect engagement photos had been all over social media just yesterday, whose life was probably imploding in real time, and felt a strange kinship with this woman she'd never met. Fine. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Same coffee shop where I met Marcus. Come alone. That night, Naomi couldn't sleep. She lay in bed scrolling through Madison's Instagram, studying the woman who was supposed to become Marcus's wife. Madison was beautiful in that effortless way wealthy white women often were. Long blonde hair that looked professionally maintained, a smile that reached her eyes in every photo, pictures of charity galas and vacation homes and a life that seemed charmed. But Naomi had learned a long time ago that Instagram was a highlight reel, that people could hide enormous pain behind beautiful filters. One photo in particular caught her attention. Madison with a little girl, maybe 5 or 6, both of them laughing on a beach somewhere tropical. The caption read, "My whole heart, my lily girl." So Madison was a mother. That changed things, made this more complicated. Because a mother would understand what it meant to abandon a child, would understand the weight of what Marcus had done in a way that maybe someone without children couldn't. Kennedy called at 11 p.m., which meant she'd been stress-eating ice cream and stalking social media again. Please tell me you're not actually meeting with Marcus Wellington's fiancée tomorrow. Please tell me you have more sense than that. Naomi sighed. I have to, Ken. She knows about Harper, Marcus told her, and she wants to talk. This could be, I don't know. Maybe she has information I need. Or maybe it's a trap, Kennedy shot back. Maybe Marcus sent her to manipulate you, to get you to back off so his perfect wedding can proceed as planned. But Naomi didn't think so. There had been something genuine in those text messages, something raw and hurt, that she recognized because she'd felt it herself 7 years ago. I'll be careful. But I have to know what she knows. I have to understand what Marcus told her, what lies he's spinning now. After she hung up with Kennedy, Naomi pulled out the folder she kept hidden in her closet, the one with every piece of documentation about Harper's birth, about her attempts to contact Marcus, about the paternity test. 7 years of evidence that she'd been telling the truth all along. The next morning, she dropped Harper at school and watched her daughter skip into the building, braids bouncing, backpack covered in ballet stickers, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Harper had asked that morning if they could get pizza for dinner, and Naomi had said yes, had hugged her daughter extra tight, had breathed in the smell of her strawberry shampoo, and thought about how to protect her from what was coming. Because once Marcus was officially confirmed as Harper's father, once the truth came out, their quiet life would explode. Madison was already at the coffee shop when Naomi arrived, sitting at a corner table with 2 untouched cups in front of her. She looked different from her Instagram photos, smaller somehow, her face pale and makeup-free, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. When she saw Naomi, she stood up, and for a moment they just looked at each other, 2 women connected by the same man who'd hurt them both in different ways. I got you a latte, Madison said quietly. I didn't know what you liked, so I guessed. Naomi sat down studying Marcus's fiancée. Thank you. Madison's hands were wrapped around her own cup like she needed something to hold on to. I don't know how to start this conversation. I don't know what to say except that I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what Marcus did to you. For what he's been doing for 7 years. I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't know. If I had known, if he'd told me from the beginning that he had a daughter he'd abandoned, I would never have. I wouldn't be wearing this ring right now. She held up her left hand, and even in the dim coffee shop lighting, the engagement ring sparkled obscenely. It's his grandmother's ring. Did you know that? He told me it was in the family for 3 generations, that he was giving it to me because I was special, because I was the one. And then yesterday he tells me, casually, like he's mentioning he needs to pick up dry cleaning, that, oh, by the way, his ex-girlfriend contacted him about a daughter. A daughter, 7 years old, named Harper. And he'd never mentioned her. Not once in 2 years of dating. Naomi felt that familiar anger rising. What did he tell you? What version of events did he give you? Madison's eyes filled with tears. He said you two dated briefly, that when you got pregnant you claimed the baby was his, but the timing was impossible, that he was sure you'd been cheating. He said he tried to be reasonable, tried to work it out, but you were vindictive, that you tried to trap him, that you wanted his money. And then he said you disappeared, that he tried to find you to get answers, but you'd moved away and cut off all contact. The lies were so brazen, so complete, that Naomi almost laughed. We dated for 2 years. We were engaged. We lived together in his apartment on the Upper East Side. When I got pregnant and told him, he accused me of cheating without a shred of evidence, threw me out with 3 days' notice, told everyone I knew that I was a liar and a gold digger, and cost me my job. I didn't disappear. He made me disappear. He destroyed my reputation so thoroughly that I had to rebuild my entire life from scratch. And he never, not once, tried to contact me or ask for proof. Madison was crying openly now, tears streaming down her perfect face. The paternity test. He showed me the results last night. 99.99%. She's his daughter. Harper is his daughter. And he's known for, how long? 2 days. The test was done 2 days ago. For 7 years he could have asked for a test. For 7 years he could have demanded proof. But he was so certain, so absolutely convinced that I was lying, that he never even considered he might be wrong. And you know what the worst part is? I don't think it was really about the timing or the birth control failing. I think on some level he wanted an excuse to leave. Madison wiped her eyes with a napkin. Why? Because he was scared. Because he wasn't ready to be a father. Because committing to me and a baby would have meant growing up, becoming responsible for someone other than himself. And Marcus likes his life exactly the way it is. Controlled, profitable, uncomplicated. A baby would have complicated everything. So when I told him I was pregnant, he found a reason to make it not his problem. And he's been living with that lie for so long that I think he actually started to believe it. Do you love him? Naomi asked suddenly. Madison looked startled by the question. I thought I did. But the man I fell in love with, the man who took my daughter Lily to daddy-daughter dance at her school, who read her bedtime stories, who cried when she called him daddy for the first time, that man wouldn't abandon his own child. Would he? She said the last part with desperate hope, like she wanted Naomi to tell her there was some explanation, some way to reconcile the Marcus she thought she knew with the Marcus who'd thrown Naomi away. But Naomi couldn't give her that comfort. I loved him too. I thought he was brilliant and ambitious, and I thought we were building something together. But when things got hard, when the perfect life he'd planned got disrupted, he showed me exactly who he was. He showed me that his image, his reputation, his comfort, all of that mattered more than truth, more than me, more than his own daughter. That's who Marcus Wellington is. And I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Madison was quiet for a long time, turning her engagement ring around and around on her finger. He wants to meet her. Harper. He told me last night that he wants to be part of her life, that he's ready to be a father now. After 7 years of denying she exists, suddenly he's ready. And I don't know if I believe him. I don't know if this is genuine remorse or if it's damage control because he knows you could destroy him publicly if you wanted to. Naomi had thought about that, about going to the press, about exposing Marcus as a deadbeat father, about making him face consequences for once in his privileged life. But every scenario ended with Harper's name in headlines, with her daughter becoming known as the abandoned child, the unwanted daughter. And Naomi couldn't do that to her. Harper deserves to know her father, but only if he's actually going to show up, consistently, not just when it's convenient. Only if he's going to put her first, love her unconditionally, be the father she's been asking about for 7 years. Otherwise, it's better if he stays away. What are you going to do? About Marcus? About the wedding? Madison twisted the ring off her finger and set it on the table between them. I'm calling off the engagement. I can't marry someone who's capable of this. Someone who could abandon his own child and then lie about it for years. My daughter Lily, she deserves better than that. I deserve better than that. And honestly, you and Harper deserve better than having to share space in his life with someone he actually chose. Someone he didn't run away from. Naomi felt unexpected respect for this woman she'd been prepared to hate. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because if I marry him now, knowing what I know, I'm complicit. I'm saying that what he did is forgivable. That it's okay to abandon your child as long as you're rich and charming enough. And it's not okay. It's never okay. They sat in silence for a moment. Two mothers, two women who'd loved the same man, united in their understanding of what mattered most. Madison finally spoke again. Will you let me meet her? Harper? Not now, not until things are settled. But someday? I'd like to tell Lily that she has a sister out there, someone she can know when she's older. The word sister hit Naomi like a punch. She'd never thought about that. Harper had a sister. Marcus had another daughter, one he hadn't abandoned, one he'd been father to while simultaneously denying Harper's existence. The cruelty of it, the absolute injustice, took her breath away. Madison seemed to read her thoughts. I adopted Lily 2 years ago. She's not biologically Marcus's, but he's been her father. Which makes this worse. How can he be a father to my child but not his own? How does that make any sense? Naomi's throat tightened. Because with Lily, he got to be the hero. The man who stepped up for a child who wasn't biologically his. With Harper, he'd have to be the villain who abandoned his own daughter. One makes him look good. The other makes him look like exactly what he is. Madison wiped her eyes again. I need to get home to Lily. I need to figure out how to explain that the man she calls Daddy isn't who we thought he was. But Naomi, thank you for meeting me. Thank you for not hating me for being stupid enough to almost marry him. I don't hate you. I feel sorry for both of us. We both loved a man who wasn't capable of loving us back the way we deserved. After Madison left, Naomi sat alone in the coffee shop for another hour, her cold latte untouched, thinking about sisters and fathers, and the impossible mess Marcus had created. Her phone buzzed with a text from him. Can we talk? I know Madison met with you. I know what she told you. Please let me explain. There's more to the story than you know. Naomi stared at the message. More to the story? What more could there possibly be? She typed back, there's nothing you can say that will change what you did. You have a daughter you abandoned. That's the story. His response came immediately. I was diagnosed with a genetic disorder 8 years ago. That's why I was so sure the baby couldn't be mine. Please, just give me 10 minutes to explain. A genetic disorder? Naomi's hands went cold. What kind of genetic disorder? But Marcus didn't respond to that question. Instead, another text. Tomorrow. My office. Please. She called Kennedy, needing to hear her best friend's voice. He's claiming he has some genetic disorder that made him think he couldn't be the father. Kennedy's response was immediate and furious. Oh, that's convenient. 7 years later, and suddenly he has a medical excuse for being a deadbeat? Don't fall for it, Naomi. This is manipulation. But Naomi couldn't stop thinking about it. What if there was more to the story? What if Marcus had genuinely believed he couldn't have children? It wouldn't excuse what he'd done, the lies he'd told, the reputation he'd destroyed. But it might explain the why behind it all. The next morning, she dropped Harper at school and drove to Wellington Capital's headquarters, the sleek glass building in Midtown where Marcus built his empire. The receptionist recognized her immediately, and Naomi saw the shock in the young woman's eyes. Miss Carter? Mr. Wellington is expecting you. 17th floor, corner office. As the elevator climbed, Naomi's stomach churned. She hadn't been in this building in 7 years, had spent years avoiding this entire neighborhood. The doors opened, and there was Marcus, standing in the hallway like he'd been waiting. And when their eyes met, she saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. He looked terrible. His expensive suit couldn't hide the fact that he hadn't slept, that he'd probably been awake all night. "Thank you for coming. Please come in." His office was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, the kind of space that screamed success and power. But Naomi didn't care about any of that anymore. She sat in one of his ridiculously expensive leather chairs and waited. Marcus sat across from her, not behind his desk, like he was trying to be less intimidating. It didn't work. 8 years ago, I went to a fertility specialist. I'd been having some health issues, nothing major, but my doctor recommended I get tested. The results showed that I had a genetic condition that made it extremely unlikely I could father children naturally. Not impossible, but the odds were less than 5%. They recommended I freeze sperm if I ever wanted kids. Said I'd probably need IVF or other intervention. Naomi felt her anger rising. "So when I told you I was pregnant, you assumed I was lying because some doctor told you it was unlikely?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Yes. I know how that sounds. I know it doesn't excuse anything. But in that moment, when you told me you were pregnant, all I could think was that the timing made no sense, that we'd been careful, and that I'd been told I probably couldn't have children naturally. So I convinced myself, you must have been with someone else. I convinced myself you'd been cheating because the alternative, that I was wrong, that the doctor had been wrong, was too terrifying. Why terrifying? Why would being wrong be terrifying? Because it would mean I'd thrown away everything over a misunderstanding. Because it would mean I'd destroyed your life, destroyed our relationship, abandoned my child. All because I jumped to conclusions. Because it would mean I was the villain, not you. And I couldn't face that. So I doubled down. I told everyone you cheated. I made sure the story painted you as the bad guy so I never had to question my own judgment." Naomi stood up, unable to sit still. "You had 7 years to question your judgment. 7 years to wonder if maybe, just maybe, you'd been wrong. 7 years to demand a paternity test. But you didn't. You just kept living your lie." Marcus's voice cracked. I know, and I hate myself for it. Every Father's Day, every time I saw a little girl around Harper's age, I would wonder. But by then, so much time had passed. I'd told so many people you'd cheated. I'd built my entire life around the assumption that I'd been right. Admitting I was wrong would have meant admitting I abandoned my daughter, would have meant facing what I'd done to you. And I was too much of a coward. Naomi looked at him and saw not the confident millionaire but a broken man, and some small part of her felt pity. But pity wasn't enough. Your genetic condition, the one that made it unlikely you could have children. What is it exactly? Marcus pulled out a folder from his desk drawer and handed it to her. Medical records, test results, everything from 8 years ago. It's a condition that affects sperm motility and count. The doctor said natural conception would be difficult but not impossible. I fixated on the difficult part and ignored the not impossible part. Because it was easier. Naomi flipped through the medical documents, and they looked legitimate, detailed reports from a prominent fertility clinic. This doesn't change anything. You still could have asked for a paternity test. You still could have given me the benefit of the doubt. You're right. I should have. But Naomi, I'm asking now. I'm asking for a chance to be Harper's father. Not to erase the past, I can never do that. But to be present for her future. To give her the father she deserves, even if I don't deserve to be him. Naomi sat back down exhausted. I met Madison. She told me about Lily. How you've been a father to her daughter while denying your own. Marcus winced. I know how that looks. Lily was different. She came into my life when she was 5. There was no history, no guilt, no reminder of my worst mistakes. Being her father figure was easy because it didn't require me to face what I'd done wrong. That's the problem, Marcus. You only want to be a father when it's easy, when it makes you look good, when there's no complicated history to deal with. But Harper comes with history. She comes with 7 years of abandonment, 7 years of wondering why her daddy didn't want her. Being her father isn't going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to mean answering difficult questions and facing your mistakes every single day. Are you actually ready for that? Or is this just damage control because Madison left you? Marcus leaned forward, his eyes intense. I deserve that. I deserve all of your anger and suspicion. But I'm going to answer your question with complete honesty. Yes, part of this is because Madison left. Part of it is because seeing her walk away, seeing her refuse to accept what I'd done, made me realize I couldn't keep running. But the bigger part, the part that kept me up every night this week, is knowing that I have a daughter out there who thinks I don't want her. Knowing that Harper, who I've never met, has spent 7 years believing she wasn't enough. That kills me, Naomi. That absolutely destroys me. Prove it. Prove that you're not just saying what I want to hear. Prove that you're committed to being Harper's father. Not just when it's convenient, but always. Marcus reached into his desk drawer again and pulled out a thick stack of papers. This is a trust fund I set up yesterday. $5 million for Harper's future, education, whatever she needs. And this, he pulled out another document, is a legally binding custody agreement I had drawn up. I'm not asking for joint custody right away. I'm proposing supervised visitation, gradually building to more time as Harper gets comfortable. And this, another document, is a formal acknowledgement of paternity and back-child support. 7 years' worth, calculated based on my income. It comes to $800,000. She stared at the papers, her mind reeling. You did all this in 2 days? I did it in 1 day. Yesterday, after Madison left, after I realized I was about to lose everything that mattered. I called my lawyers, my financial advisors, and I told them to make this right, or as right as it can be. Money doesn't erase what you did, I know, but it's a start. It shows I'm serious. The trust fund means Harper will never have to worry about college or her future. The child support means I'm acknowledging my responsibility for the last 7 years. And the custody agreement means I'm willing to do this on your terms, at your pace, in whatever way protects Harper best. Naomi picked up the custody agreement and read through it. It was remarkably fair, more than fair. Marcus wasn't demanding anything, just asking for the opportunity to be present, to attend school events, to have supervised visits, to gradually build a relationship with his daughter. The document even included provisions for therapy, both for Harper and for him, to help navigate this complicated situation. You really mean this? Marcus met her eyes. Every word. I know I destroyed your trust. I know I have to earn it back, and that might take years. But I'm asking you to give me the chance to try. For Harper's sake. Naomi thought about her daughter, about the joy on Harper's face when she'd said she wanted to meet her daddy. Thought about all the questions Harper had asked over the years, all the Father's Day cards made for mothers, all the times Harper had wondered if she was somehow not good enough. If Marcus was genuine, if he truly committed, Harper could have the father she'd always wanted. But if he failed, if he disappeared again, it would break Harper in ways that might never heal. That's the risk I'm taking here. Harper's heart. If you walk away, if you decide this is too hard, if you fail her the way you failed me, she'll be destroyed. Do you understand that? I understand, and I swear to you, on everything I have, I won't let that happen. I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy, parenting classes, whatever you think I need. I'll show up every single time, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Naomi stood up, gathering the papers. I need to think about this. I need to talk to Harper, prepare her. This isn't a decision I can make on the spot. How long? Marcus asked, desperation creeping into his voice. How long until you decide? A week. Maybe 2. I need time to figure out how to explain this to a 7-year-old. How to tell her that her father is here now but wasn't before. How to protect her heart while giving you a chance. Marcus nodded, accepting. Whatever you need. I'll wait. As Naomi rode the elevator down, she looked at the papers in her hands, at the evidence of Marcus's commitment, and wondered if people could really change. If a man who'd spent 7 years running from responsibility could suddenly become the father Harper needed. If she was making the right choice, or setting her daughter up for heartbreak. She picked Harper up from school that afternoon and took her to their favorite park, the one with the swings and the big oak tree where they'd had countless picnics. Baby, remember how we talked about your father? How I said maybe you'd get to meet him soon. Harper's eyes lit up. Yes. Is he here? Is he coming? He wants to meet you. But before that happens, I need to explain some things. Some grown-up things that might be confusing. Harper sat next to her on the bench, suddenly serious. Okay, Mommy, I'm listening. Your father, his name is Marcus. When I told him I was pregnant with you, he didn't believe you were his daughter. He thought I was lying. So he left. And he's been gone for 7 years. Harper's face fell. Because he didn't want me? She chose her words carefully. He made a mistake, baby. A big mistake. He had been told by doctors that he probably couldn't have children, so when I got pregnant, he thought it meant you couldn't be his. But he was wrong. The doctors were wrong. You are his daughter. The paternity test proved it. Does he want me now? Harper's voice was small, fragile. He says he does. He says he wants to be your dad, to spend time with you, to get to know you. But I need you to understand something important. Just because someone wants to be your dad now doesn't erase the 7 years they weren't here. It doesn't make everything okay. And if at any point you decide you don't want to see him, if it makes you uncomfortable or sad, you can tell me and we'll stop. You're in control here. Harper was quiet for a long time, swinging her legs back and forth. Can I ask him why? Why he stayed away for so long? Of course you can. You can ask him anything you want. He owes you answers. Harper looked up at Naomi with those gray-green eyes, so much like Marcus's. Do you think he'll stay this time? Or will he leave again? Naomi pulled her daughter close, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. I don't know, baby girl. I really don't know. But I promise you, no matter what happens with your father, you'll always have me. Always. That night, Naomi called Marcus. Harper wants to meet you. She wants answers. And she's scared you'll leave again. I won't leave. I promise. When? Where? How do we do this? Saturday. The park near our apartment. Neutral territory. Kennedy will be there too. And Marcus, if you say anything that hurts her, if you make any promises you can't keep, this ends immediately. I understand. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you for giving me this chance. Saturday morning came too quickly. Naomi dressed Harper in her favorite purple dress, the one with the butterflies, and braided her hair with extra care. Harper was unusually quiet, nervous energy radiating off her small body. What if he doesn't like me? What if I'm not what he wanted? Naomi knelt down to Harper's level. Listen to me. You are perfect exactly as you are. If your father doesn't see that, it's his loss, not yours. You are smart and funny and kind and brave. Anyone would be lucky to know you. They arrived at the park early. Kennedy was already there, sitting on a bench with 2 hot chocolates and a fierce protective expression. How are we feeling? Ready to commit murder if he hurts our girl? Always, Kennedy said, pulling Harper into a hug. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. Then Naomi saw him. Marcus, walking across the park, wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of his usual expensive suits, looking more nervous than she'd ever seen him. He was carrying something. A stuffed animal, she realized. A ballet dancer teddy bear. Harper grabbed Naomi's hand tighter. That's him? That's my daddy? That's him, baby. Do you want to say hi? Harper nodded but didn't let go of Naomi's hand. Marcus stopped a few feet away, giving Harper space. His eyes were fixed on his daughter, and Naomi saw tears gathering there. Hi, Harper. I'm Marcus. I'm your father. His voice shook. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. Harper studied him carefully. You have the same eyes as me. We do, Marcus said, a smile breaking through his nervousness. We have the same eyes. That's how I knew, even before the test, that you were mine. You look like my grandmother, your great-grandmother. She would have loved you so much. Why didn't you want me before? The question was direct, innocent, devastating. Marcus's face crumpled. Can I sit down? I want to explain, but I need you to understand something first. What I did, leaving you and your mom, that was wrong. Really, really wrong. And nothing I say can make it okay. But I want to tell you the truth. Because you deserve the truth. Harper nodded slowly. Marcus sat on the grass, making himself less intimidating. When your mom told me she was pregnant with you, I had been told by doctors that I probably couldn't have babies. So instead of being happy, instead of asking questions, I got scared and I made assumptions. I thought your mom was lying. I thought you couldn't be mine. And I ran away because I was a coward. What's assumptions? Harper asked. It's when you decide something is true without checking if it's actually true. I decided your mom was lying without any proof. I decided you weren't my daughter without any proof. And I was wrong. So wrong. The paternity test proved it. You are my daughter. You've been my daughter this whole time. And I missed 7 years of knowing you because I was too scared to find out the truth. Harper was quiet, processing. My friend Emma's dad left too. But he came back and now he sees her every other weekend. Are you going to come back? I want to. If you'll let me. If your mom will let me. I know I can't make up for 7 years. I can't give you back all the birthdays I missed. All the times you needed a dad and I wasn't there. But I can be here now. I can be here for every birthday from now on. Every dance recital. Every time you need someone. If you want me. Do you like ballet? Harper asked suddenly. I love ballet. Your mom said you do. That's why I brought you this. He held out the teddy bear, dressed in a tiny tutu and ballet shoes. Harper took it carefully, examining the bear's outfit. She has point shoes. I don't have point shoes yet. I'm too little. But someday I will. When you're old enough for point shoes, I want to be there to see it. I want to see you dance. Would that be okay? Harper looked at Naomi, seeking permission, seeking reassurance. Naomi nodded. It's up to you, baby. If you want your dad to come to your recitals, he can. Harper turned back to Marcus. Okay, you can come. But you have to sit in the front row because I'm always in the back, and it's hard to see from far away. I'll sit in the front row, Marcus promised, his voice thick with emotion. I'll be there every time. Can I ask you more questions? As many as you want. Forever. You can ask me anything anytime. Are you rich? My friend Madison says her mom's boyfriend is rich and has a big house. Marcus smiled slightly. I have money, yes. Does that matter to you? Harper shrugged. Mommy says money doesn't make people good. Good hearts make people good. Your mom is very wise. And she's right. I have money, but that doesn't make me a good dad. Being a good dad means showing up and caring and putting you first. I haven't been a good dad yet, but I want to learn how. Will you meet my friend Madison? She's having a birthday party next month, and Mommy said maybe I can go. Marcus's face went carefully neutral. Is that Madison Porter? Harper nodded enthusiastically. She's really nice. She shares her cookies, and she has the same American Girl doll as me. I'd love to meet your friend Madison. In fact, her mom and I were friends. I'm sure we can figure out the birthday party. Kennedy, who'd been watching silently, spoke up for the first time. I'm Kennedy, Harper's godmother and Naomi's best friend. Just so we're clear, I'm watching you. And if you hurt this child, you'll answer to me. I understand. And I'm grateful Harper has people like you protecting her. Marcus looked at Naomi. Would it be okay if I pushed Harper on the swings? Just for a few minutes? Naomi looked at Harper. Do you want that, baby? Harper bit her lip, then nodded. Okay. But you have to push high. I like to go really high. I can do that, Marcus said, standing up. Naomi and Kennedy watched as Marcus walked with Harper to the swings, watched as he carefully helped her onto the seat, watched as Harper's nervous expression slowly transformed into laughter as she flew higher and higher, her hair streaming behind her, her delighted squeals filling the park. He's good with her, Kennedy admitted grudgingly. Doesn't mean he won't screw this up. I know. But look at her, Ken. Look at how happy she is. Kennedy squeezed Naomi's hand. She deserves this. She deserves a dad who shows up. Let's just hope he keeps showing up. After an hour, Harper ran back to them, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. Mommy, Daddy said he wants to take me to see the ballet at Lincoln Center. Can we go? Please? Naomi's heart caught on the word daddy, the first time Harper had called him that. If that's something you want to do, we can talk about it. I want to. And he said maybe someday I can take ballet classes at a fancy school. And he wants to come to my school for career day. Harper's excitement was infectious, overwhelming. Marcus approached more slowly, staying a respectful distance. Is Saturday too much? Should I back off? Number. This is good. Just, let's take it slow. 1 visit a week to start. We'll build from there. Marcus nodded. Whatever you think is best. I'm following your lead. Thank you for today, for giving me this chance. For letting me meet her. She's amazing, Naomi. She's so smart and funny, and you've done such an incredible job raising her. Don't, Naomi said sharply. Don't thank me for raising the daughter you abandoned. I did what I had to do because you weren't there. Marcus flinched. You're right. I'm sorry. I'll see you next Saturday? Same time? Harper wants to show me her dance moves. Yes, Naomi agreed. Next Saturday. As they walked home, Harper couldn't stop talking. He's tall, Mommy, and he smells like cologne. And did you see how high he pushed me on the swings? And he said I can call him Daddy if I want to, or Marcus if that's easier, whatever makes me comfortable. Kennedy walked beside them, and over Harper's head, she caught Naomi's eye. This is terrifying, her expression said. I know, Naomi's look replied. But it's also kind of wonderful. The visits became routine. Every Saturday afternoon, Marcus would come to the park. Sometimes they'd swing, sometimes they'd walk and talk. Sometimes they'd feed ducks or get ice cream. Harper opened up more each week, telling him about school and ballet and her friends. And Marcus, to Naomi's surprise, showed up consistently, punctually, prepared. He learned Harper's favorite ice cream flavor, mint chocolate chip. He learned that she was reading at a 4th grade level, even though she was only in 2nd grade. He learned that she was terrified of thunderstorms and loved butterflies, and wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up, or maybe a dancer. She hadn't decided yet. 6 weeks in, Marcus asked if he could take Harper to dinner. Just the two of them. Naomi's instinct was to say no, to keep controlling every interaction. But Harper wanted it, and Naomi had to learn to let go. Had to learn to trust that Marcus was in this for real. Where are you taking her? Nowhere fancy. She mentioned she loves this pizza place near your apartment. I thought we could go there. Basic, comfortable. Her choice. And I'll have her back by 7:30. Prompt. Naomi watched them leave together, Harper's small hand in Marcus's large one, and felt a complicated mix of emotions. Relief that Harper finally had a father. Terror that Marcus would still somehow fail. Grief for the 7 years they'd lost. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this could work. Kennedy came over that night, bringing wine and moral support. How are you handling this? Watching him play dad after 7 years of nothing? Honestly? I don't know. Part of me is still so angry, but another part, the part that loves Harper more than anything, is just grateful she gets to have this. He's trying, Kennedy admitted. I'm still not ready to forgive him for what he did to you, but he's trying with Harper. That has to count for something. When Marcus brought Harper home, right at 7:30 as promised, Harper was bubbling over. We had pizza, and I taught Daddy how to make funny faces with pepperoni. And he told me about his job, and about Great-Grandma Wellington who danced too. And he said next time maybe we can go to a bookstore because he wants to know what books I like. Naomi helped Harper get ready for bed, listening to her daughter's endless chatter about her evening. As she tucked Harper in, Harper's voice got quiet. Mommy, thank you for letting me know my daddy. I know it's hard for you. Sometimes you look sad when he's here. But I'm really happy. Naomi kissed her daughter's forehead. I'm happy you're happy, baby girl. That's all that matters. After Harper fell asleep, Naomi found Marcus still outside, sitting on the building steps. You didn't have to wait. I wanted to thank you again, and to apologize. Naomi sat down next to him. For what specifically? There's a long list, for all of it. But specifically for tonight, for what Harper said about you looking sad. I never thought about how hard this must be for you, watching me build a relationship with her. After everything I put you through, having to be civil to me, having to let me into her life, that takes incredible strength." Naomi was quiet for a moment. "I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for her. But you're right, it is hard. Every time Harper calls you Daddy, every time she lights up when she sees you, I remember that we could have had this all along. We could have been a family. And you threw it away." "I know. I think about that every day. Every single day. Sometimes I look at Harper and I try to imagine what she looked like as a baby, as a toddler, at 3, at 4. And I can't. Because I wasn't there. I erased myself from her entire early childhood. That's something I'll have to live with forever. Are you going to tell her everything? The full story? About how you didn't just leave because you thought she wasn't yours, but how you actively destroyed my reputation? How you cost me my job? Eventually, yes. When she's older, when she can understand. I want her to know the full truth, even the parts that make me look terrible. Because she deserves honesty. And because if I hide it, if I let her think it was simpler than it was, I'm just lying again." Naomi studied his profile in the streetlight. "You really have changed, haven't you?" "I'm trying. Every day I'm trying. Therapy helps. My therapist made me realize that I spent my whole life controlling everything, building this perfect image. And when you got pregnant, when something happened that didn't fit my perfect plan, I couldn't handle it. So I destroyed it. I destroyed us. But I'm learning. Learning that life isn't controllable, that making mistakes is human, that the real measure of a person is how they handle those mistakes." 3 months into their regular visits, Marcus asked if Harper could spend a Sunday afternoon at his apartment. "It's been redecorated," he explained. "I hired someone to make it more kid-friendly. There's art supplies, books, a reading nook. I wanted it to feel like her space too, not just mine." Naomi was nervous, but agreed. When they arrived at Marcus's building, the doorman greeted Harper by name. "Welcome, Miss Harper. Your father said you were coming today. There's a surprise waiting upstairs." The apartment had transformed. Gone was the stark minimalism Naomi remembered. Now there were colors, warmth, photos of Harper. In the corner, a ballet bar with mirrors. "For you to practice," Marcus explained to Harper's delighted gasp. Naomi watched her daughter at the bar, hands gripping it with concentration. Marcus stood beside her. "I called her dance instructor, asked what equipment might help." "It's perfect," Naomi said. "You're really doing this, being her dad." "I'm trying." 3 months later, Marcus's apartment felt like Harper's second home. 6 months after their first meeting, they celebrated in the same park where it all began. Harper, now 8, stood in the middle of them all. "1 year ago I didn't have a daddy," she announced. "Now I have a daddy who comes to my recitals and helps with homework. He says sorry a lot, maybe too much. But I know he means it. I'm really lucky." Naomi wiped her eyes. Marcus was crying. As they gathered for cake, as Harper and Lily ran off to play, Madison touched Naomi's arm. "You did an amazing thing, letting him back in." "I did it for Harper," Naomi said, "but also for me. This is better." Marcus approached. "I owe you both a real apology. I'm sorry doesn't cover it, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to Harper and making amends to you." "We forgive you," Madison smiled. "Just don't screw this up again." "I won't," Marcus promised. Years passed. Harper graduated, went to college, got married. Both Naomi and Marcus walked her down the aisle, united in their love for this remarkable daughter. But that day in the park, celebrating 1 year, they could only see Harper's joy. The butterfly cake, the sunset painting everything gold. This moment was enough, because families weren't perfect. They were made of mistakes and forgiveness, pain and healing, second chances and love. And this family, stitched together from broken pieces, was exactly the family they were meant to be. Harper's laughter filled the air, pure and bright, the sound of a child who finally had everything she'd ever wanted.